Okay, today we're going to be making the ever popular potato salad by New York Times bestseller Leanne Brown in her book Good and Cheap. Now, she's not a fan of mayonnaise-based potato salads, so we're going to be doing a vinaigrette-based potato salad. As always, you can always adapt recipes to however you like, but I personally recommend trying a recipe as it is the first time, and then you can add all types of additions, you can change things around, but here we're going to definitely highlight the star, which is going to be the potato, instead of covering it up with so much stuff. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our potatoes and we want to put them in a cold pan, and we're going to leave them whole actually. So it's going to take a little bit longer for them to cook, but when you cut up the potatoes, they absorb a lot more water, and that's going to dilute the flavor of them. So we're going to use these red potatoes. You want to stay away from russet potatoes. You could also use Yukon Gold. And then we're just going to add our water. And we want to cover these just about an inch or so above the highest one. Now we're going to bring that to a boil, and then after it's gotten to a boil, we're going to bring it down to about medium-high heat, and then leave the lid just ajar so that the heat can escape, evaporate a little bit, you don't have any boilovers. So while we're letting these boil, we're going to go ahead and prep the things to go inside. All right, while the potatoes are still warm, we want to go ahead and give them a bite-sized chop. We don't want them too hot. We want them warm enough to work with. They don't have to be pretty. Having them still warm is going to allow them to absorb more of the flavor from the vinaigrette. These will still work cold, but you're going to get a better final product leaving them warm. Now, I didn't mention, but you want to make sure that when you're finishing up these potatoes or when you're boiling them, put a fork through them and make sure that it goes all the way through and comes out clean. Having a potato that is a little bit overcooked is much more preferable than having a potato that is undercooked. That is not delicious. We don't want to make the chops too small because they're going to break down a little bit as we stir it all together. All right, and while these are cooling the rest of the way, we're going to go ahead and assemble our vinaigrette. We're going to use a larger bowl that's going to be able to fit all the potatoes so that we can stir them in. Lemon juice. Dijon mustard. Now remember, you can also adjust the proportions of these. But like I said, when you're making the recipe the first time, you want to go with how it is stated in the recipe. You do want to make sure that you're getting enough seasoning in there initially, because it's going to be very difficult to, you don't want to mix the potatoes more than you have to after you've got this vinaigrette made. So remember, we didn't salt the potatoes before we boiled them. There we are. Let's put this here. All right, and we've got our salt, pepper. Gonna put our, let's get this actually done like this. give this a quick whisk. If you don't have a whisk, you could always use a fork. I think this could use a little bit more salt because we have a little bit more than 2 pounds potatoes. And we've got some dill here. This we don't even need to chop up. We're just gonna break some off. Just sort of tear it in there. You don't want any large pieces. You don't want it getting stuck in your teeth. Add our scallions. Oops, almost forgot our olive oil. We're gonna use about 2 tablespoons of olive oil here. Give this one last whisk. All right. We're gonna add our potatoes back in. Want to just come from under and sort of come up underneath. Get all of them nice and coated. Like I said, this is gonna be a much lighter than a mayonnaise base, but the potatoes, which are the real star here, the flavor of that is gonna really shine through. If we got some big pieces in there, just go ahead and break them up. Now we could definitely serve this warm as is. The vinaigrette will have a chance to penetrate through the potatoes if you leave this overnight. So next day, this is going to be even better. We always do want to be checking for seasoning though. So let's go ahead and take one of our potatoes just to make sure we've got enough salt in there. You could use a touch more. That's really good. So season from high so we don't have to break the potatoes down too much. Just give this another quick stir. We're ready to plate up. Now you could always add some fresh pepper flakes. You could do some Parmesan cheese, bacon if you want to. Honestly, like I'm always saying, this is your dish. Recipes are just guidelines. Make them your own. And there we have it. You can put a little fresh dill on top. Beautiful.